Let's just carry on from where we ended. So we just worked on a planning meeting kind of a thing. We saw how to create backlog, how to create an epic, a feature, a user story, and a task. And we just played around with how to check in against a task, then look at the history of the files of what happened with a particular task and stuff like that. So all of that, we just had a review of all of these things live by creating those things and checking in that and creating a pull request, then merging the content into the master, all of that. So we had a pretty good detailed view of what we are doing here. So we saw the boards. Now we are familiar with the boards, familiar with work items, with the backlogs. We are familiar with these things. Then moving on to sprints. So here is where I will have all my sprints scheduled or all my sprints visible. So if you just go to task board, I'll just add a new work item. Add employee feature. I'll just say save and close. So we just look at this. It is another view of what you are already having. So if I just move it to iteration 1 and say save and close. So if we just look at this, it is another view of what you already have in the boards. It is another view. Just think of it like the same coin with a different dimension. So I'm just looking at the same thing, but from a different dimension. So I, instead of moving it from here, I can go ahead and do this as well. Let's say active, 7 close. Then it is active now. So I can keep on playing around with it and add employee feature. It is active now. So in the sprint, I would get a sprints overview of what is happening on a sprint level. Essentially, as I said, it is just another view of your boards, but in a sprint way. So depending upon a sprint, I would have defined a sprint in my entire project as a product owner. I would have defined a sprint. So it could go ahead and show me what is happening inside a sprint and give me a view of from the sprint's perspective. That is what I'm doing here. Pretty decently same. I can create a new user story. I can see the backlog. I can see the task board. That is what I'm doing here. The backlog, create a user story from new work item. So essentially the same thing. Even here, I have the same option, new work item. I can go ahead and do all that, what I did there. Just another perspective. Queries. So here is where you will have queries built of what is what. Like I can go ahead and say the same, what is there. So what is the output which I'm getting? I'm saying give me all the work item types which are of any. The work item type can be bug or epic or anything, and the state can be anything. So it doesn't make any sense, right? So it is, I'm getting everything. So to just make sense of what I just am doing, tell me the features which I have been assigned. I, Abdullah Khan, has been assigned. What are the features I have been assigned? Which are closed or which are active. Run the query. There is nothing as a feature which is assigned to me which is active. Then is there a user story which is assigned to me which is active? Let me check that. Yeah, there is one user story which is assigned to you and it is active. So what is a query? Query essentially is whenever you come in to office, this is where I'll just save this query. I'll save it user stories on me. Okay. So I just saved that query. If I just go to my queries, you see that here you have what you have created in this queries. So whenever you come in, you log in, right? You log in and you look at the board. It's pretty confusing. So you have 10 teammates and you don't know what is assigned to whom, because so essentially what am I doing? It's pretty confusing. What will I do when I log in at the day beginning? I'll just see yesterday did Scrum Master or my technical lead assign me anything. I'll just go to queries. I saved one query here just now. I'll just click on that. I'll see, okay, I have been assigned one user story. So this is where I'm going ahead, and I'll be landing on this page to just understand you're experiencing network connectivity difficulties. No, I'm not. So let me, yeah. So what am I doing? I'm just getting a view of what is assigned to me. So if I just say edit this query, I don't want the user story. I want the tasks assigned to me, which are active or which are new. These are the tasks which are assigned to me, which are in the new state. I will save this as a separate query. Save as in my queries. Tasks on me. Create a new query because I just overrid the previous one. I'll just go to user story, which is of any type. Run the query. There are multiple user stories. I'll just say which is of active. Run it. One active user story. I'll just save this query saying user stories on me. So now if I go to queries, oh, how is that overridden? It should have both. I want both. It is again overridden. Let me just create the query quickly. So I'll say work item, which is a task, and of state any or active. I'll say run, nothing inactive, in new. Run the query. I have something. I will say, why is it editing the same query? I wanted to create a new query. Run. It is somehow not giving me, yeah, say query. I'll say okay. If it already has it, then why is it not showing it to me? It's not somehow not showing it to me. Let me just go to somewhere else and come. Somehow not listing me all my, so it is giving me the latest one for sure. Okay, it is present here. So you have, whenever you log in for the day, you have multiple things. I created one over others. So I just want to see what are the user stories on me. This is how I, as a software engineer, will behave. I will create queries which are useful to me. This is me creating. It's not technical lead or anyone. It is on my account and no one else can see it. So this is a private query which I have created it. So what am I doing here? This query will go ahead and help me just quickly get a view of what is assigned to me and what I need to work on today. Because each day I will be getting some new tasks or new user stories or new features which are assigned to me. If not each day, then each week. So I'll keep a tab of it. Instead of writing the query again and again, I'll just save the query. So all the user stories on me, I'll get it there. All the tasks on me, I'll get it there. So essentially, it's pretty fast for me to just quickly see it instead of keeping on writing that query again and again. I will write it once, I will see something, and then the other way, I want to write another query, which is pretty common. You need to know how many bugs are assigned to you. As of now, no bugs are assigned to me. I will save this query as well. I will say bugs only. Essentially, any bugs which are assigned to me will be present inside this bugs on me query. So there is no bug which is assigned to me here. That's why I don't see anything. But that's what is the queries node. What is the queries node? That's where I store all my queries to just get a view of what is what assigned to me and what is the deadline and what is the stuff like that. All of that I will get a holistic view by just having the query. So most of the time I will be having multiple queries which are written so that I have multiple angles to what I need to look at. So if I just there this guy, there this guy. That's not clean. So essentially I have tasks on me, user stories on me, I have bugs on me. Or anything which is assigned to me, it is already by default there. This guy would be by default there. The assigned to me. It is given to me by Azure DevOps. There is a default query which is already there, which is given to me. So I'll be using that default query. That's what is pretty much about your queries node. So we have seen all these nodes in pretty detail. Let's move on to the next topic. So we'll speak about Azure and Azure
Abdul,
services. Yeah, you have some question?
yeah, actually in the queries, if you see previous TFS and all, there is a type of query set like a flat query, tree queries. There is no concept in this.
What is that? It's not clear to me. What is that you're asking about queries? Is it?
Yeah, in the queries, usually in
Uh,
TFS there is a different type of queries like a flat query, tree query, like that. Here
okay.
we don't have any concept like that.
You don't have anything of that sort. Essentially, a query will be like this, and you keep on adding clauses. So you keep on adding clauses, it will keep on giving you new clauses which you can add depending upon see accepted by who is it accepted by. You have different clauses which you can add and look at the scroll button. You have multiple things which you can do. So you have multiple ways of writing query, but nothing like a tree structure or stuff like that. We don't have that. Actually, you don't require it. All of your ways of searching will be satisfied with this. I never found that this thing is limited. It is much more sophisticated than what are the queries which are present in TFS. It's much more better. So only thing which I can do, I can keep on adding clauses and have more and more filters added so that I can get the exact view. But there is nothing like a tree structure which we have here. Got it?
Okay.
Yeah. So we don't have anything of tree structure kind of a thing. Only thing what we do, we keep on adding new clauses and we keep on filtering it, adding more filters so that I can get the exact answer. So what is the activated date, at which time it was activated, what were assigned to me yesterday, just yesterday. So I just will use the activated date and go ahead and filter it. So this is what you do usually. I'll just do it. So everything looks good. So that is what I do in my queries. Let me just open up. Let us just speak about a little bit about Azure because now we will after that we'll go to the builds folder. When we build something, we'll deploy it, and when we deploy something, we deploy it to one of the places where we deploy it is your Azure portal. So that's where we will speak about Azure. So let me just get that out. Just give me a minute. I'll just pull the presentation. I'll just stop presenting. I'm still online. I'll just stop presenting and I'll just pull the presentation. Just give me a minute. There are a few things which we want to cover inside this same presentation. First, we just spoke about the theoretical part. So benefits of Scrum, we just spoke about it. So this is one thing which we have spoken about. That is your board, and you'll be having a physical board. So just running through my slides. And what do you have in your Scrum role? There are multiple projects or multiple things which will help me work with the board. One of the things is the Trello. We spoke about Trello in the very beginning of what is Trello and how can I replace Trello with my Azure DevOps board. Azure DevOps board brings in Trello kind of a functionality inside my Azure DevOps. So what does it have? I can have multiple things within my board. I can have what are the resources I'm using. What is my backlog looking like? So I can have that as well configured within my board. What is the to do? What is my plan for my sprint? When am I starting my sprint and what is the plan for my sprint? 1 second. Oh, is it? Sorry. You're able to see it now? So I just forgot presenting it. Yeah. So what is the plan for my sprint? What is that I want to do in my sprint? That is the to do. What is the quality checks which I want to do? So if there are any quality checks which I want to do inside my application, what are those checks which I want to do? All of that also can be integrated within your board. Your board can have much more than what we have seen. We have just seen 4 columns. If you don't want to have more and more columns, you can add these all columns which you see on screen. What is done? So essentially, what is completed? I can have that as well. And what is blocked? So what is the essential thing which is blocking my my user story? So that is what is present inside your block. Essentially, your impediment. That is what you call in some teams. Some teams call it impediment. Some teams call it blockages. So that is what is.
Abdul, your voice is not clear.
It is 2 hours. We are planning to do it until 9 o'clock.
Your
You're
voice
fine
is
with
not
it.
clear.
Yeah, my voice is not clear.
Yes, yes.
Is it clear? Is it clear now?
No, there is some noise.
Yeah, I'm just away from the fan now. So, is it clear now? I'll just speak just for another few minutes. Just see if it is clear. Otherwise, I'll just think about moving to some other room. So, essentially, it is until 9 o'clock. And what about tomorrow? Are you available tomorrow for 2 hours, or how is it? 7 to 9. Are you available tomorrow, or tomorrow should be a oof? What is that? That you decide? Do you want it tomorrow?
Ma'am,
Lakshmi
can you
Narayana
repeat
is.
what you mean?
So
You're asking about
do we
tomorrow's
right
2 hours
tomorrow?
class?
Do we want it tomorrow? Tomorrow to have a
Y-
class?
Yeah. We can go it for tomorrow, 2 hours.
Okay. What about Lakshmi Narayana is saying Monday? Lakshmi Narayana, is it not fine for you tomorrow to have it 2 hours, or how is it? Do you have a constraint there so that we can cover more hours and we can finish it off?
Uh, no, Abdul, actually, whatever you told up to now, we didn't see that. If we get a time, we will complete all these things and we can start posting now. So that's why.
Okay, well, but you can anyway have this recording as well, right? So that you have the entire day, Saturday and Sunday. And do you think this is good, or you want more time?
Okay, fine then.
It will be just 2 hours, right? After that, you have the entire day to just record and get the things done. And
Okay, Abdul, fine.
you can fine with it. Yeah. So both of us are fine, right? So then good. Then we'll just have the session tomorrow as well, so that we can cover more things and we can wrap it up fast. Because essentially, what I'm looking for is I am in the fasting mode, and the quicker I cover it, the better it is for me because I'll be thirsty over the day. So it will be easier for me to manage it. Timing is the same, 7 to 9, make 9. Meghna is asking for the timing. It is the same timing. I'm not changing any time. It is the same time, 7 to 9.
I'm okay with it. Just continue 1 hour, right? More 1 hour.
Yeah, that's correct. Continue more.
Only for tomorrow, or is it going to follow for the weekend as well?
For the next week as well. I'm just planning to do 2 hours each day and finish it up fast.
Okay,
So
okay.
even on Monday we can have it for 2 hours, and next week also, because I'm done with another batch which I had from 8 to 9. So I'm just increasing your time so that we can finish it off fast. 1 hour per day, we will take it 2 weeks. In 1 week, if we do 2 hours per day, then we will cover more hours.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So that's the plan. So just carrying on. So you have your Scrum board, and that is how your Scrum board can have. That is, these are the things which your Scrum board can have. Let me just go to my next slide. So that's how your Scrum board looks like. If at all you are populating it with more and more values, more and more columns, it will be more shrunk, and you would have much details inside your Scrum board, and that is how your Scrum board can look like. Essentially, it is looking more cryptic, and I have only used, in my real-time experience, I have only used Scrum board which has 4 columns or 5 columns, not these many columns. But your Scrum board allows you to have these many columns, so it's not an issue. Your Scrum board is fine with it. So more work. So whenever you are having a dependency, so this is one of the classic things which is good in Agile. If your team is following proper Agile, again, some teams don't follow proper Agile. Even though they say they are Agile, they don't follow proper Agile. I have a dependency. I am a software engineer one. I have a dependency on software engineer two. So if software engineer two is not done with his work until tomorrow, then today, even if I go to office, I cannot do anything, because unless and until my work is dependent on his work. He has to complete his work, then only I can start working on my work. So if at all that is the kind of dependency, then software engineer 2 is saying I will only be done by tomorrow evening, because he has his own work and he needs to address some things within that, and it's a valid thing. Unless and until he completes it, anyway I need not go to, anyway I cannot work. So why go to office? So that is what is this slide saying. Instead of me going to office, I'll just go surfing. So this usually happens in many product companies, that they will allow you, if at all you have serious impediments, and you cannot proceed further unless and until the other guy completes the work, then you are allowed to take work from home. You need not come to office. So all of these are flexibilities which you get if at all you have dependencies like this. So that is one of the things which is good in Agile. Though it is more towards the developer saying something rather than your lead saying something or your manager saying something. It is from the developer's friend. That is one of the advantages of Scrum. So whenever you are, while we are here, there is one more thing. So who is estimating the tasks? I will break down my epic into features. Feature is broken down into user stories. User story is broken down into tasks. Who is estimating the task? It is the software engineer. Who is it that is estimating? It is the software engineer. If software engineer says for task number 1, which I have created here, so I have many tasks. These are the tasks which I have. So if I just go to boards, that's more visible, the tasks. So these are my tasks. These are my tasks which I have created. If who is telling that this task will take 8 hours? Who is saying that? It is the software engineer. It is your, it is the DevOps engineer who is saying 8 hours. Where is the say? When we are working with Scrum, who is saying it? It is the developer who is saying it. I will take 8 hours. If a fresher is given the same task, then he might say I will take 13 hours. He might say I will take 13 hours because he's freshly passed out and he can't understand things better. So he might say that he is taking 30 marks. It depends upon the resource who is working on a particular task. That is how we will estimate tasks. What is the advantage in this, which you see here inside the Scrum model? It is the developer who is seeing how much time he will take. What was there previously before Agile? It is the manager who says. Manager says tomorrow I want this. He doesn't understand ABC of technology, and he cannot say he cannot code. He does not know what needs to be done in a requirement. All he knows is he will just shout on you and just tell that I want it tomorrow end of day. He doesn't understand what is the complexity to build it within a day. It's all that's where we were getting poor quality software and more buggy because developer is in an urgency to deliver with it because the manager wants it. What did Agile do? So this was before Agile. What did Agile do? It threw the responsibility on the developer. Now the developer says to the manager saying that I cannot do this within a day. I need this much of time. Why this much of time? Look at what all I need to do. One, two, three, four. I'm creating tasks for each of those. I'm saying I need to do one, two, three, four. You can clearly see that here, and I cannot do it within a day. I require 3 days or 4 days for this to be completed. Where is the responsibility falling? It is falling on your DevOps engineer. So he is saying that estimate, and he is giving you that um, um, end hour or end number of hours or end number of number of hours which will take to complete a particular task. So it is the developer. So just understand that. So this is one of the healthy benefits what we have when we are working with Agile, wherein the responsibility is on me. It's not on the manager. It's not manager-driven process. And many of the projects which I have worked on, all of that is more agile, and managers don't usually uh, throw themselves on you. They will not throw the weight of their manager position on you when you are in an agile process. That's one of the best things which we have in agile. That's your holistic view of what is happening inside a agile. All of this we spoke about. Let us just do a 360-degree view of what we spoke. Your product owner comes, he defines the product backlog. He defines the product backlog. Once he defines the product backlog, we get into a planning meeting. We, in the sense, technical lead, architect, product owners, the entire team, everyone. That's why it is the team. We come into the planning meeting. We will take a few items from the backlog, product backlog, make it sprint backlog. What are the few items which we will take? Depending upon what will we take, we will take it on the priority. Whatever is priority 1, that is what I'll take. What is priority 1? If I just keep checking, it's priority 2. There is nothing which is priority 1. Yeah, this is priority 1. I'll take this first. Why? That is pure. I will take this and I will assign it to my iteration. I'll take that and assign it to my iteration. That is my sprint. Once I assign all the P1s from the backlog and assign it to my sprint backlog in the planning meeting, I will start my sprint. Starting my sprint, it can be 1 week sprint or it can be 4 week sprints, but it will not be beyond 4 weeks. It will always be 1 to 4 week sprint, what you will be working on. And every 24 hours, every day, I will have a daily stand-up meeting. You will call it daily stand-up. In some teams, they call it daily scrum, whatever. It is all it is the same thing. So you are essentially doing the same stuff. All of your sprint and your daily scrum is managed by your scrum master. That's another player. Product owner is a player. Then you have another player who is scrum master. He is the one who is managing this entire process. So it's a very good slide wherein you get all the 360-degree view of what is what inside scrum. So once you are done with your sprint and everyday stand-up meetings, that is where you will finish your work. Once you are done with the sprint, let us say it is a 3 week sprint. Once I am done with the 3 week sprint, I will finish my work. That is where I will have the retrospective meeting. What is retrospective meeting? What went well? What went bad? What are any ideas which I want to implement? Any improvements which I want to do inside my sprint? All of that. We saw a board. We saw a board and we just saw what is went well, what did not go well, and stuff like that. That is what is retrospective. Whatever we have learned, all of that in one slide. So that is how your entire Scrum process looks like. This is how it looks like. So every sprint will keep on doing the same activity. So over time you get used to this. It will be nothing new to you. So what is happening on a higher level architecture? This is one level down. If we zoom out, one is zoom in. If we zoom out and go up, user stories keep flowing into your sprints. What are your sprints looking like? Your sprints are looking like this. So your sprints are looking like this. If I zoom out, user stories keep on coming into sprints. They keep on coming into sprints. And the sprint start, when the sprint starts, the planning meeting happens, the sprint starts, the daily scrums happen. Once everything is finished, I'll have sprint retrospective. It's a never-ending process. In a healthy product environment, it is a never-ending process. We always have these things happening day in, day out. I keep on doing this thing day in, day out. This is how a high level architecture will look like. When I'm working on multiple sprints, this is how my high level architecture will look like. So your Azure DevOps, which is your portal, which you see here, your Azure DevOps, it is a union of people, processes, and products to enable continuous delivery of value to our end users. It's a very good statement, what you see there. So essentially, what am I saying there? It is a union of people who are creating these things, backlogs, work items, and stuff. The people. Process. What is the process which I am following? What is this process? When I say new work item, what is epic feature, user story? What is the process which I am following? The Scrum process. Scrum process and products. What is the product I'm using? I'm using Azure DevOps to enable continuous delivery. The CD, we want to learn about CI/CD, continuous integration and continuous delivery. That is what is CI/CD. So you have your people, process, and products who are going ahead and working continuously and delivering value to the end users. That is what is happening inside your DevOps environment. What is DevOps or what is VSTS doing for you? It can integrate these many things when you are working on a integrated environment like Azure DevOps. What is it doing? It can help you plan and track the progress of what happened. What happened? What is the progress? I can see here. Track the progress of what is happening in my current sprint. Manage work. Where will I manage work? I'll use my repos node. Plan work. I will plan it from my boards again, from the boards. Project starts. Once I have all these things, the project starts. Once I have the project started, what will I do? I'll write code. Where will I write code? I showed you that I am doing it in Visual Studio. I will write code, I'll unit test it, and I'll have a version control. What is my version control? It is my Git repository. That is what is my version control, which I'm using. TFS is a version control. Git repository, it's a version control. So I'm having my version control in place. Then I will have my build in place. What is the build? In the pipelines, I have builds. I have releases. I have builds. So in the pipeline, I will have builds in place. Then I'll have build verification. This is where I'll do the development and I'll do the testing stuff on the build verification. All of that in one umbrella. Whatever nodes we are speaking about in one umbrella. I will monitor and learn. What is it? I'll take feedback. I'll monitor it. Can I monitor it from here? Yeah. My burn down chart. which is present in my Scrum process, my burn down chart. This is where I monitor whatever is happening in my sprint, and I'll go ahead and give the feedback. I'll use my retrospective meeting to give the feedback. Then I have release functionality. What is release? This guy, the release functionality. I can create a new pipeline in my release functionality. What will that do? I can go ahead and release my code or deploy my code. When you say release, it is deploy. So what is it? I can create an automatic functional testing environment. I can create an automated testing environment. Where can I create it? I can create it here inside my test plans. So you have my automatic test plans which can be created here. I can have an integration testing environment again here inside my test plans. I can have my PPE which can be created, and I can have my staging environment. All of that will come in my releases, my PPE and my staging environment and stuff like that. Everything comes in my releases. This is where I'll configure my PPE is pre-production environment. So I can have my PPE and I can have my staging environment. All of that I can have it within the release. There are multiple tools which I can integrate with from my Azure DevOps. These are very famous tools. Node, I hope you have heard about it. Visual Studio. Can I integrate Azure DevOps with Visual Studio? We did that. I can integrate Git with Azure DevOps, Python, Visual Studio Code, Jira, Rally, your Java programming language. Then you have something to do with release. So you have application insights, something to do with monitoring. You have application insights. You have Hockey app. I don't know whether you know Hockey app and application insights. We'll speak about these things a little bit, not to that extent, but speak about that. Then you have the release pipeline. For release, there are many famous players in the release pipeline. One of the famous player is your Jenkins. You might have heard Jenkins. Jenkins is one of the ways in which I can go ahead and manage my CI/CD pipeline. That is a competitor to Azure DevOps. So your Azure DevOps competitor is the Jenkins. I can integrate with Jenkins from my Azure DevOps. That is also possible. There is Chef. There is launch.click. So there are many things which I can go ahead and integrate with when I'm working with Azure DevOps. We'll see a little bit of all this, not everything, but we'll see a little bit of all this and just understand that I can work with many of the things which are present in the screen, whatever you see there. So a little bit about TFS. It is essentially for the people who are already well versed with .NET TFS. So as we are purely on DevOps, we can just stop here. If at all you are interested in TFS and knowing TFS, just tell me. Then I can go to the future slides. Otherwise, we'll just cover this slide and we'll just end our discussion on Azure DevOps boards node. So what is this TFS? That's another way of managing my files. It is the on-prem version. So your, if I just say notepad, the TFS is an on-prem version. It's an on-prem version control. What is Azure DevOps? It is a cloud version control. That's the only difference. So it is nothing like I'm doing something totally new. It is an on-prem version and it is a cloud version. You still have people using TFS pretty much. It's not yet gone. It is still very active and it has its own advantages. So one disadvantage, yeah, you can't integrate with the cloud in a straightforward way, the way Git integrates with it. You need some more plumbing which needs to be done. But TFS also has some of the features which are pretty much common inside the Azure DevOps. It has three major features like source control, builds, work items. What is my source control? This guy. My repos node is my source control. Where is my builds? That's what is my builds. That is what is my another thing which I have inside TFS. I have builds within TFS. I can create work items in TFS just like I created here. New work item, all this. I can create exactly what you see here inside my TFS as well. So it also helps me create whatever I did on Git. I can do the same things on Team Foundation Server, which is the on-prem version of your Azure DevOps portal. So it is still active. It is still brilliant to work with. Only thing is, we would be working on-prem, and market is more and more moving towards cloud. So that is what is the drive now. So the sooner you migrate from TFS to Azure DevOps, the better it is for you. So that we can be relevant to the market and the needs of the market. So it is better for us to actually move to DevOps. If your project is not yet there, then suggest it. If at all you have the um, authority to suggest, if you are a technical lead or a senior resource within your project, it would be good to suggest that we better move to the DevOps portal and give them the clues of how they can move from their on-prem version to the DevOps version. That's pretty much about this line. Next, we'll start speaking about Azure. So what is Azure? When I say Azure, so we need to know a little bit about Azure before we deep dive into other parts of what we want to discuss. Let us just see what Azure is, understand what Azure is, and what is it doing for me. Then we will speak further about DevOps. Now we will just divert from this portal. Will not come to this portal. First, we'll understand the Azure part of this portal. What is Azure? Then we will come to discussing the portal's details. So, what is Azure? Whatever you see on screen. So, are you using cloud today? If I ask you that question, are you using cloud? Any of the cloud-driven things today? If you say yes, that is correct. We are already using cloud-driven things in our day-to-day life. I am from my mobile. Mine is an Android mobile. From my mobile, I'm storing all my photos and my videos, which are my memories, into my Google Drive. The account which is connected to my Google Drive. So I'm connecting to my account. From there, I'm just dumping all my photos and stuff into the Google Drive. Apart from Google Drive, Microsoft has a solution, the OneDrive. You might have been using OneDrive in your professional environment. You will be sharing your files and folders with your co co-employees, with your teammates using OneDrive. That is the cloud offering of Microsoft. There is another cloud offering, which is OneBox, which is Dropbox. That's another way of that is also helping you store files and data inside its environment. What are these three things doing? They are storing my data. Do I have access to my data, or I am given permission to look into my data? What is it? What is true? Do I physically own the drive? Google Drive, is it like C drive and D drive? My laptop has two drives, C drive and D drive. Is Google Drive like that? Do I own C drive and D drive? Yeah, I own the C drive and D drive of my laptop. I own it because it is my laptop. Do you own Google Drive? No, you don't own Google Drive. You are given access this drive, to just put it in one other way. This drive is essentially, so one second, rather than this, we'll do this. There is a Google data center. There is a Google data center, and within Google data center, you are given permission to store some data inside this data center. So you are given permission. There is a Google data center somewhere in the globe, somewhere on the earth. We don't know. Where is it? Is it in US, or is it in India, or is it in China? I don't know. It is a black box. My files, which I have in my mobile has files. I will go ahead and log into my Google Drive. This is my Google Drive within the data center. I will log into the Google Drive and I will store my files which I have in my mobile phone into the Google Drive. Once I store the files into the Google Drive, I am given username password to access this. I'm given username password to go ahead and access my Google Drive. When I just look at this, do I own this drive or Google owns this drive? This is owned by Google. And what am I given? I am given username password to log in and see it. But who is physically owning it? It is owned by Google. It's not me. You are just having a perception that it is your drive, but it is not with you. All the data which you are having, you have given it to Google. So that's one places wherein in a recent interview, um, there was a interview with Sundar Pichai, and in the interview, the interviewer was asking that do we trust you too much? Are we trusting Google too much? Why? Seriously speaking, I have my certificates, scanned copies of my important documents, all of that stored in the drive. And what is this Google? Is it a government agency? It's a private company. It's a private company, and I have stored all my sensitive data inside the drive. There is a mental trust which I have built over Google that my data is safe with these guys. But the interviewer was saying, "Are we trusting you too much? That we are giving you everything what we actually possess, and giving you authority to save it in your own environment." It is like, do you allow any other company apart from Google to take these documents and store? You will not allow it. You will say, why should I give my documents to you? Here, Google even did not ask you to give documents. That is the trust they built. It's a private company. How come you are storing all of your data within their environment? They are owning your data and they are studying you. That's what is your big data and stuff. Your big data analytics and your ML, machine learning, all of that comes there. So we, in a way, trust these people too much. So I just am diverting from our concept of discussion. Coming back, what are we doing? We're just storing data inside the Google Drive, and I'm given access to it. So we are already using cloud. We already know cloud. When I say cloud, these are all cloud drives. That is what it is. It's all cloud. What is cloud? Is it something the cloud which we see in the sky? Is that what it is? Where are these servers located? They are physically located somewhere on Earth. It is nothing like cloud. Then where did this name come from? In the older diagrams, if I just say that, go to images, Um, can I get one image of that? I'm looking for a specific image. This image. Previously, whenever I want to show that there is a network of computers which is linked to a network of servers. So I'm just showing it in a diagrammatic fashion. I used to use a cloud symbol. Essentially, what is the cloud symbol which I'm using there? I'm telling that we are connecting to the internet and then connecting these two things together. The diagrammatic fashion, what was it showing? It was a cloud format. We always used to use it in the older diagrams. If you are a programmer for the past few years, and in my textbooks, when I was studying my graduation, all of those places you would have seen this diagram, these kinds of diagrams, wherein connectivity is shown in the form of the cloud. They took that and they named it cloud. Why? Because you are storing some of you are hosting your information by connecting to these data centers. So instead of calling them data centers, they called it cloud because of that diagram which we have been using all these days. Then since many years we have been using these kind of diagrams, wherein the network is shown in the form of the cloud. They just took that keyword, the cloud, and they made it. Now it is Google Cloud, Oracle Cloud, Microsoft Cloud, Amazon Cloud. So you have multiple cloud offering companies which are present out there. So it's that's where the name came from. So it is a physical data center. It is not like the cloud what we see in the sky. So we already are working with cloud technology. So what is cloud computing? So a style of computing, that's your classical definition by Gartner. Who is Gartner? If you don't know him, just do a search. Who is Gartner? Just do a search. You'll understand. Very powerful agency. People die to be listed in the Gartner's chart. If you have heard about Gartner chart, I don't know how familiar you are with it. So that's a very good agency which is reputed across the world. So Gartner says a style of computing in which scalable and elastic IT-enabled capabilities are delivered as a service using internet technologies. Pretty big definition. What do I mean by that? What is cloud? Is a style of computing in which scalable. Whenever I'm thinking of an architecture, whenever I want to build an architecture, I always think of scalability. This is one of the primary things which I will think of as an architect. As an architect, my primary concern is how can I scale my application? Once there is more and more requests coming in, how can I scale my application depending upon my request? That is what is called as scalability. This was one of the primary things which was and is present whenever I'm thinking about an architecture. Cloud computing will help you scale your application very fast. You can scale essentially if you have one server having another server in the previous ages, that is with the on-prem systems. You cannot have a server just right away. You need to buy the physical server like this. Yeah. That's your physical server. You might have seen it while walking on your floor. If you're familiar with the corporates, so you would have seen racks like this, wherein these things are all present, all connected. So you would have seen racks like this. That's your server. So essentially, whenever you want to duplicate your server, why do you want to duplicate your server? Because you are getting more and more requests. Now, whenever I say google.com, I am redirected to google.in from India. If I am logging in from India, I am redirected to google.in. Why am I redirected to google.in instead of google.com? The requests have increased from the Indian subcontinent. So what Google did, it has hosted its servers near India physically, so that the requests are processed fast, and we are a huge population. So now my request for Google.com is being redirected to Google.in. That's why you see the dot in. You usually scale your application by replicating. That's one of the architectural things. I don't want to go deeper into it. Just think, if my demand increases, I will create more and more servers. To create a server, I need to buy this thing, what you see here. I need to buy this thing, I need to buy these wires. If I am a corporate, right, I will buy all these things. And I need to hire a guy who will work on this and help me manage my server. All of this is my investment. So I need to invest on all these things. Scalability, if I want to scale on-prem, that is what I need to do. Scalability in cloud, you can do it in 1 second, literally 1 second. There is just one button in my cloud, Azure cloud. I'll just say, if at all I have one server, I'll change that one server, number one, to two. I'll just say two. And there is a save button. I'll just save that. And my server is replicated within at least a second. I have another server running. Or it will take at least 30 seconds. Let us say 30 seconds. Within 30 seconds, I have another server running. Scaling up in cloud is pretty fast. It is blazingly fast. I need not wait for the hardware to be brought, the wires to be bought, and the racks to be bought, and the connectivity, and the UPS which needs to be connected to it, because they have to be always online. They have to be always living. They cannot go to sleep. So all of that is taken care. So whenever I want to use scale up, that's what I diverted from, right? So whenever I want to scale up, I'll immediately go ahead and do it in cloud very easily. And I need elastic capabilities. What is elastic? So elastic essentially is, I'm a let us say a income tax company, like tax smile. I don't know whether you're familiar with tax smile or not. Let me just show you. I'm an income tax driven company like tax smile. This guy helps me submit my tax returns in India. I can submit my tax returns on TaxMile, and I can go ahead and do all the management. Or if I don't understand how to do Form 16 returns and stuff, I can hire a guy. He will help me return my submit my tax returns. That's TaxMile. When will this be? If TaxMile is on-prem, that is on premises, that is it is using physical servers like this. It is using physical servers like this. When is it much busy? If you are from India, when is it the most busiest time for TaxMail of the year? When will it be very busy? The busiest time of the year. When do you submit tax returns? You submit in March and April. You will submit until June. After June, you will not think about the tax submission until next March, the March of the following year. what are my busy months which I am already thinking of as a tax mile CEO. I know that from March people will jump into my site, and I need to take care of that. I cannot lose customers. So in March, April, May, June, so 4 months. Oh, not able to hear you. Hear me? Okay. So in from March till June, so in 4 months, what I need to do? I need to have more servers. If I am a, if I am a, if I am an on-prem solution, okay, let's see. If I am an on-prem solution like this, for those 4 months, I need to buy new servers. Is server cheap or is it costly? It's very costly. I cannot buy it just like that. It's not a laptop, so it's very costly. So buying servers is a costly affair. So only for these 4 months, only for these 4 months, I need to buy a new server. After 4 months, what? Again, the traffic will decrease because people will no longer care about filing the tax returns. Only during these 4 months, I will be having heavy traffic. To do that on-prem, it's a huge investment. If I was in cloud, if my solution is in cloud, what will I do? If I am in cloud, during March, I will increase the servers. I will increase the servers in March. To what? I'll increase it to 5. How much time will it take to increase? Hardly 2 minutes. In 2 minutes, I will scale up my server from one server to 5 servers so that I can handle the requests which are coming in during this period. And for these 5 servers, I will pay extra because Microsoft will charge me. Because extra servers, Microsoft will say, Azure will say, please pay me more. I'm ready to pay. Why? Because I'm doing business, huge business here. Once June is done, in July, I will decrease the servers to what? To 1. Now I no longer use it, and I need not pay to Azure. What is that? I have increased it whenever I want it. I have decreased it whenever I want it. That is what is elastic. That is what is elastic. Elastic, how does the rubber behave? It can expand and it can shrink depending upon your requirement. That is what is elastic. By using cloud technologies, I can be elastic. I can scale up my business depending upon the months or depending upon the days. Like Amazon, when will the highest amount of orders come to Amazon? In from Amazon itself, they only have said the highest number of orders they get in US during the Christmas time, during the Thanksgiving time and the Christmas time. That is when they get the highest number of orders. So during whenever they detect that during this time we have a heavy flow of server of people, I will increase my servers during that time to whatever number I want because I have huge traffic and a single server cannot handle huge traffic. So what will I do? I will go ahead and scale up. I'll scale up and I'll make it elastic. And once I'm done with my with my business for that period during the Christmas time, once I'm done with the business, I'll go back to the previous state. That is what I'll do. That's what is the flexibility which is given to you by cloud computing. So it goes ahead and gives you the flexibility to work with your infra in an elastic and in a scalable way. So what is Microsoft Azure? Microsoft Azure is a collection of various cloud computing services. it has many cloud computing services, including remotely hosted and managed versions of proprietary Microsoft technologies, such as your virtual machine. So, what's a virtual machine and stuff like that? We'll come to that. But essentially, just understand Azure is a list of cloud computing services. It has a list of cloud computing services. Each service is helping you achieve a particular thing. That is what is Azure all about. It goes ahead and gives you a particular set of services which you can use and utilize. There are many services which it gives. One of the services which is pretty commonly understood by any programmer is a virtual machine. It helps you create a virtual machine in the cloud. In the cloud environment, Azure will help you create a virtual machine. That is one of the services. Example. So apart from that, do we have any other services? Yeah, you have many other services. So if I just go to Azure, if I just go to Azure portal, how many services I have here? It is official Azure portal which I'm looking. In AI, I have these many services: cognitive services, decision making, and blah blah. Analytics. Look at the number of services. Blockchain, containers, DevOps, your integration. You just name it. How many services? It clearly says see all 100 plus services. These are the number of services you have in Azure. Pretty huge list. That is what Azure will help you do. It will give you services. One of the services, as I said, is your virtual machines. You have virtual machines which you can use. What are the virtual machines which it has? You can create a Linux virtual machine or a Windows virtual machine. It's up to you. Within how much of time? Within seconds, you can create virtual machines on your Azure portal. This is one of the services. Look at the number of services it has. So there are a plethora of services which you can go ahead and create when you are using Azure. So why use Azure? If I am a startup company and I don't know whether my idea will fly or not, I have just started a startup company, say, and I am building a restaurant application like Zomato. I don't know whether you are familiar with Zomato or not. Zomato or Swiggy, just take one of those examples. I am like a Zomato kind of a app which I am building. I don't know whether it will fly or not. It will click in the market or not. I don't know. As a startup company, I have less money because I am a startup company. Having this physical server installed on my local environment and having a backup for it, having a technical guy to handle this operation. Is it easy for me as a startup or is it difficult? It is difficult. I cannot manage all these things because it is very huge in cost. I need to have a room. I need to have AC in that room because the servers should always be cool. They can't get heated up fast. If they get heated up, then my processing uh, uh, time will go up. So they have to be just a second. There is a lot of noise here. One second. Yeah, so I need not hasten much. So as a startup company, it is difficult for me to invest upfront on the servers and stuff. What will I do? This is a better option for me of going to the Microsoft Cloud. I can go to Microsoft Cloud, create an account, and I can ask Microsoft to create a server for me, to give me some space in the cloud space. So Microsoft will go ahead and give me a server. It will allocate me a slot in its data center. How will the data center look like? That's your data center. Something like Mission Impossible kind of stuff, right? So pretty decent and pretty flashy. So you just see that that's your data center. It is a rack of servers, not just one server. It is a rack of thousands of servers. A data center can have thousands of servers within its infra. Just look at that infra. Within this is what Microsoft maintains. Even AWS, Amazon maintains this. So all the cloud computing companies, they maintain these data centers. That's where I'm connected. My G drive, it is somewhere in a rack in a data center like this. That's where my G drive is. And all my data is present in a server within that data center. So you have that kind of a setup, and I will go ahead as a new customer. Coming back to the slide, as a new startup, we are Zomato startup. I'm a Zomato competitor. I'm going ahead and creating a Zomato competitive app. I'm going ahead and I will go ahead and tell to Microsoft, give me some space in your data centers. How do I ask it? By creating a virtual machine in the Azure DevOps portal. In the Azure portal, not the Azure DevOps portal. In the Azure portal, I will go ahead and create a virtual machine. That's how I'll take some space inside the data center. And I launch my app in the market. If it clicks, then I'll keep using the same Azure infra, and I'll keep scaling up and scaling down depending upon my fame. If I fail, because startups, some of the startups, most of the startups fail. Very few startups click in the market. So if I fail as a startup, then what will happen? All I need to do is unsubscribe to Azure and delete the domain. If I was taking a on-prem solution, if I was taking an on-prem solution like this, and I did not fly, I was unable to compete with Zomato. Zomato oversmarted me, and I lost my money. Then what should I do with these servers which I bought, the physical servers which I bought? I need to sell them for a meager amount. All of that is my loss which I have incurred. I already am at loss because of my application was flying. I will be even at more loss because my servers are no longer required. Because my applications are not there, my servers are not required. All the wiring, cabling, and stuff. That is what I am avoiding by using Azure. No upfront costs. So I just diverted from here. No upfront cost. When you are working with Microsoft Azure, you can create your servers with minimal cost. And as a startup, it is very good for you. When I'm thinking from the startup perspective, it's a very good offering which I get from Azure. And within a usage-based billing formula. So the more you use, that is what you are billed for. You are not billed for what you don't use. Whatever you use, that is what you are billed for. So bill as you go is what they call it. So you will be billed as you go. That is what they call it. So that's one of the best things which I get when I'm working with Azure. Azure is compelling option for enterprises. Yeah. So it is not just startups, even the enterprises. Whenever you're working with very huge corporates, so it is nothing like only startups using um, huge projects like Amazon or Flipkart, huge websites. They also still use cloud computing servers, or cloud computing offerings which are given by Microsoft or Google or any other cloud computing offering providers. So essentially, it's not just startup; everyone uses it. That is what is this. What does cloud? Who does cloud Azure impact? It impacts all the Fortune 500 companies. All the Fortune 500 companies use Microsoft Azure. Once they use it, then convincing other people to use it is very easy. That's why these people first catch the big customers. Once the big fish is in, then the small fish will automatically be in because the small players in the market follow the big players. So that's why they get the Fortune 500 people into the new business, whatever is the new business which uh, will be launched. If you are able to convince Fortune 500 companies to come in, then you are there. You are there with your business. That's what Microsoft did. They have all the Fortune 500 companies using Microsoft Azure. In the same way, they are also used by the startups, the Garrett startup. So it is used by the startup as well as a Fortune 500 company. When was it released? It was released in 2010, February. That's when it was released, 9 years before this date. So that's when Microsoft Azure was released, and now it's a huge player in the cloud market. How can I create a account within Microsoft Azure? It's very straightforward, but be careful using it. You can mess up, and a bill of 15 lakhs came to someone whom I know. So that's how big you can mess up when you're working with Azure. So just be careful using the services. So if I just say Azure, this guy, I'll say sign in, I'll say create account. So it will ask you a few things like the regular thing. The only catch when you are creating an account is you will be asked to give your credit card information. So you'll be asked to give your credit card details. Once you give that, it's a free account. You will be given $200 free um, usage money. You can use services until $200 is full, and you actually use it is for 1 year, wherein you can use it. It's not just 30 days. You can use that $300, $200 within a year. So you can have a free setup, free sign up when you are working with Azure, but there are a list of services which are free. Other services are something which you need to pay and use. So you need to be careful there. That's why I'd never touch Azure that much. What are free and what are paid? These things are free. So just be careful. Linux virtual machine is free for 750 hours. What is 750 hours? If I go to Calc, how many hours in a day? 24. How many days? 30. You almost, for 1 month, you can use it for free. In 12 months, I can use it for 1 month free. So if I start a virtual machine, this is what you will do. And this is where people mess up. 750 hours is free. I'll go ahead and create a Windows virtual machine, not Linux. Windows is also 750 hours. So create a virtual machine for Windows. I'll start the VM. I'll play around with it for 2 hours. Once I play around with it for 2 hours, this is where people mess up. So they will log out. What did he do? And he thinks that this is shut down. Your VM is shut down. That is where you behave like an immature. So just be careful. Even though you log out, your VM is still running. It is maintained by Azure. Azure thinks this is a serious VM. Azure doesn't know that you are playing around with VMs there. Azure thinks it's a serious VM. Any VM which is created is serious. And Azure doesn't take anything as granted. So your VM is still running. And you log in after 10 days, it will still be in on state. So if it is an on state, then you are consuming these hours. These 750 hours are being consumed. So each hour is counted. And after you complete 750 hours, say that you just played around with it because you thought it's a 12-month free subscription. You logged in after 2 months. You already consumed 750 hours. It is still running. And after 2 months, it went beyond 750 hours because 720 hours is what is 1 month. So after that, Azure starts billing you on your credit card. Why? Because you gave the credit card authority when you are signing up. You give that, yeah, this is my credit card information. Next month, you will get your credit card bill, which would be for this VM, which is running for free for 2 months. 1 month is free, and after that you are charged per hour. Some services are charged per minute. Some services are charged per um, not seconds, but most of the services are charged per minute. So they will go ahead and give you a whopping bill on your credit card. Why? What should I do? Whenever I am playing around, just be careful. How should I shut it down? How should I go out, start VM, play around with the VM for 2 hours. After that, shut down the VM. You have to shut down the VM. That's where your billing is stopped at. So you just used it for 2 hours. You still have 748 hours to play around in 12 months. Shut it down, then log out. Don't log out directly. If you are working with some of the services, understand what you need to do. So that's where using Azure is tricky. You should not just go ahead and jump because he's saying he's giving you 200 bucks free, which is 13,300 credit. So it looks very fancy, very good, right? So 13,300 rupees I'm getting for free, and you just go ahead and see what are the free services: Linux virtual machines, managed disks, block storage, file storage, SQL, Cosmos DB. All of these are free for so much of amount of GB or these many hours. I'll just start playing around with it because it is free for 12 months. I don't know the catchy things. After 13,000 is done, then they will start billing on your credit card. Just be very careful when you create an account in Azure and then start working on Azure. It's not Azure DevOps. Azure DevOps is free, end to end. This guy, this guy is free. He doesn't charge you anything. I'm speaking about the Microsoft Azure services, wherein you start creating virtual machines and stuff. Whenever you're doing this thing, be careful. Just one of the example which I gave, like that you can mess up. And one of my friend's friend, so it is a hearsay story, wherein he got a bill of 15 lakhs because he did some messy stuff like this. Just started something and just never visited back, created an account, enrolled in it, played around with it for 1 hour, and got out of it. And after the 3 hours are consumed, they billed his credit card and he has to pay that. So it's a legal uh, thing. They have already taken it from credit card. He has to give it to the bank now. So it's a pretty risky thing. So be very careful working with the services. Where did we develop from? Yeah. So you get 200 service credit for 30 days. That's free, and you can go ahead and play around with it. But be careful. Deployment of pricing. So when you say on-prem and cloud-based, what is the difference? On-prem is on my premises. That's what is called as on-prem. We don't call on-premise. We call on-prem. Where is the server? It is with me on my floor. It is nowhere else. It is on my floor with me. So I will go ahead and use it the way I want, and it is private. It is I own it. When you say cloud-based, who owns it? Just now we spoke about an example. I am using already a cloud-based service, my Google Drive. Who owns it? It is owned by Google. What do I have? You have username password by which you can log into that server and see your photos and your documents. But are they owned by you? No. Google can shut you down on that, saying that you're not authorized. Yeah, it can just block you for whatever reason. If it sees some suspicious activity, it can think you are a hacker and it can block you from using your own drive. So essentially, you're not owning it. It is owned by the vendor. Who is the vendor? Google. In the same way, when I'm working with cloud-based software, who is owning that cloud-based software? It is the vendor. Who is the vendor here? When I'm speaking about Microsoft Azure, it is Microsoft. Microsoft is the vendor. So that's what is the difference between a cloud-based software and a on-premise software. So what did they do inside the cloud? That's very interesting, and this is one of the interesting parts of what they did. You know about virtual machines. If at all I'm not wrong, I think you know about virtual machines. If not, just tell them. When you look at when you create a virtual machine, you create a virtual environment within your system. Within your laptop, you create another operating system environment, like another Windows Server virtual machine. In that, you can go ahead and install a few things and play around with it. So essentially, you have a virtual machine which you can create. What is a VM? We already know it, so I'll not stress on this. This is only for the freshers. So, what are the services which are, what are the companies which are giving you services for virtual machines, to create virtual machines? These are the very famous virtual machine companies. VMware, I think you should be familiar with it, or VirtualBox. These are two companies which will help you manage virtual machines on your local box. These are pretty decently famous companies. And what do? They will allow me create virtual machines, destroy virtual machines, install something on the virtual machine, and stuff like that. All of this is what they help me do. What did they do? So I have a running OS X Mac OS machine. This machine is Mac. It's not Windows. It's Mac. I can install VirtualBox on this machine and create two virtual machines. One virtual machine is on Windows, one is on Windows XP, one is on Windows 8. So essentially, a Mac can host Windows 8 and Windows XP. That's the beauty of virtual machine. I can go ahead and create other operating system, other kinds of operating system uh, running on a different operating system. So like this, on a Mac, you get Windows 8 and Windows XP executed. That's the beauty of virtual machines. So why do you use a few reasons to use virtual machine? Trying a new operating system, you just want to try it out and you want to see how it works. Testing an application, the second point is very important. That's where you actually use virtual machine. Whenever I want to test my application, which I'm going to release to production, what will the testing department do? They will create a virtual machine, clean, and then they will install our application on it. Then they will run all the test cases and see what is failing and what is not failing, and they will report bugs. Essentially, it is for the testing environment that I go ahead and create virtual machines. And if at all you have any old applications which you need to run, like your legacy applications, just think about any legacy applications which you want to run. Then you would install some old operating system on your new operating system. You can format your laptop, right? I have Windows 10 on my laptop just to test a old application which will only work in Windows XP. I can't format my machine and install Windows XP and test that application. Very unpractical. What will I do? I'll create a VM which is on XP, and I will use that VM to run my applications. So that is what I'll do in my real-time environment. So that is one of the reasons why I will use virtual machines. What did they do? What did Microsoft do? Essentially, they went ahead and created something called. So who manages virtual machine? It is something called as a hypervisor. This guy manages virtual machines. What will hypervisor do? He would map your virtual machine to your local box and he manages your virtual machines. So you can have multiple virtual machines running on your system, and hypervisor is the guy who is managing these virtual machines. They took it to the next level. So what is it hypervisor doing? It is emulating different operating systems. So what did they do? Microsoft did. They took it to the next level. They used hypervisor kind of a thing across the world in their data centers. Data centers have hypervisors installed on their servers across the globe. What will they do? Your rack will look like that. So you have your server data center rack. That's what you call a rack. That's a rack. If I get the front view, that's a rack. It looks like a rack, right? Book of the books rack. It looks like a rack. So that's what is a rack. And you have the hypervisor. Each rack has a hypervisor. In the rack, each server in the rack has a hypervisor installed on. What is hypervisor doing? It will go ahead and create your virtual machine. That is what is hypervisor. It is present in each rack. And a network switch provides connectivity to all these multiple servers. All of that is hidden. I am post-morteming it and seeing it here. It is all hidden within this box. So everything is inside that box. All of that is hidden inside that box. A network switch connects all these racks together. And between the racks and the network switch, there is something called as a fabric controller. It is the software, a special software, which is running inside my server rack. If you know about service fabric, I don't know whether you have heard about it. That is what is the fabric controller. So that is the service fabric architecture. That is what they are using inside your rack. And you have an orchestrator who is connecting to this racks, which are connected by a network switch and a fabric controller. There is an orchestrator who is connecting to it. What is the orchestrator? When you actually go ahead and look at any music ceremonies, there would be one guy who would be playing music, who would be ordering people to play music. This guy, he's the orchestrator. So he is the one who would be directing people to play it in a specific way. That's this guy. This guy controls the entire architecture here. Whatever is built inside a data center, orchestrator will control that thing. Then you have an API. Orchestrator has a API. API essentially is he is exposing how can you access him. You can access orchestrator using a API. That is what he is saying. He is exposing himself to the outside world using a API. That is what an orchestrator is doing. I can tap into the API using my Azure portal. This is where I will speak to the API. From the Azure portal, I speak to the API, and that API speaks to orchestrators. Once I say create a virtual machine, I will trigger that to the API. The orchestrator says, yeah, go ahead and create a virtual machine inside one of the data racks. You have multiple racks in your data centers. In one of the racks, it will decide. It is up to it. It is up to the Azure where it will want to create a virtual machine according to what you said. It will create it in one of the racks. It is up to Azure. There are specific algorithms which are looking at it and where to create what. I will only tell what to create. Where to create is Azure's headache. It will go ahead and create it wherever it feels like, depending upon the algorithmic output. That is what I do when I am using my Azure portal. I keep on giving commands to the orchestrator, which is connected to this entire environment, and I keep on creating virtual machines or web applications or web apps, all of the products, all of yeah, all of the products which you see here, like analytics or blockchain or compute. All of this can be accessed from your Azure portal. You pump it to the orchestrator. He goes ahead and creates these products, whatever you see on screen, in one of the data centers. That is what we are doing and what we are communicating with in the backend. So all of these is what I can access from my Azure portal. So you can create an account, but be careful of when you're playing around with different services, you'll be charged. Just see what is charged, even if just see what is free. Even if it is free, just think twice and use it wisely. Otherwise, there would be huge blunders which would happen when you're working with Azure. So, any questions you have? We are close to close. So, any questions you have which needs to be answered?
Bill,
Yeah,
so from this Azure DevOps, after creating this pipelines and all, so I can deploy those packages into the this site in Azure. So
correct. You
I'm
can go ahead and
creating
pump from the pipeline. That is where Azure comes into picture. That is why we are exploring this first before going to pipelines. Because from the pipelines, you will pump your website to a Azure portal. That is what is it.
so from Azure DevOps to Azure Server, how will do that? I mean, there is any connectivity where
We'll look at it from the build pipelines. We'll look at it. We will not come.
okay.
We're not there yet. We'll cover.
Sure, sure. Thank you.
So, anything else which we have to be answered before we close for the day? And you're fine with tomorrow is what I hear. So we'll take it tomorrow as well, so that I can wrap it up fast and move to some other batches which I have. So If we have no questions, then we'll just close for the day, and we'll meet again tomorrow at the same time, 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock. That's the same time we'll be again, and we'll meet again tomorrow at the same time. Okay. Thank you.
ఇదేసినావా